Continuing here. So, yeah, we should all be willing to put ourselves in God's position, take a God's eye view of this thing, have a meeting of the minds with our owner. And, his will for us is not hidden. We couldn't follow it if that was the case. It's done in broad daylight, his will for us, what he wants for humanity, civilization. And we've been going the opposite direction. We've been very disobedient children. And we should all have some semblance of reverence for God. And, the fear of the Lord, is the beginning of wisdom, according to Solomon. So we should all have a healthy dose of that and seek to please him above all else. And when you do that, you understand the economic tie-in here. How the economic matters have always been, all through history, all in the Bible, matters very, very important to God. He doesn't like oppression. And that's what we got. We got this creeping oppression. They've normalized slavery. They've legalized it. A slave, you had to pay for their room and board. You had to take care of your slave so that they could perform for you. But now they haven't done this. I was just at a store, probably a minimum wage worker, and talked to him, and he said his rent was $1,200. What do you clear on a minimum wage job now? Even at, $10, $11 an hour in California? What are you going to clear? It sure isn't that. So he can't even pay his housing costs on this full-time job. Do you understand how far we've fallen? And people talk about fighting for freedom and all this? No. You can get guys to go to war for free if the cause is good. You can get guys to pay. I'll pay to go kick Hitler's behind. Okay? But no, they feel a need to conscript them, right? But if you read the book War's a Racket by the highly decorated Marine Corps general, one Mr. Smedley Butler, a book my dad turned me on to, who, by the way, was a Marine, who was in the theater of the Second World War, although he was never in combat. He was on the battleship Iowa during that period, the 4-year stint he did in the Marine Corps. He's the one that turned me on to this book, and I would definitely recommend it, because Smedley Butler didn't like war. He certainly didn't want to be involved in any wars for profit to please shareholders. But this is it. This is justifiable cynicism. This is saying, hey, there really is people whose jobs depend on problems persisting. Just like why Alex Trebek knows intuitively it'd be very controversial for him to say he suspects it was just a plate of, lightly scrambled eggs and butter, not wet. Okay, you don't want to get salmonella. That's my feelings. I don't like wet eggs, but I certainly don't overcook them. Make them easily digestible, assimilable in your stomach. That's the best thing to do. You got the albumin in there and all this stuff that's good for diabetes or anything else. But now they got the medical profession, because more people are getting wise to this. They're figuring it out that really it's that simple. I mean, how cheap is that too? I just got a dozen jumbo eggs at the supermarket for $1. I think they were 99 cents. Okay, that's a lot of protein. 8 times 12, it's 96 grams of protein off the top of my head, just doing math in my head. That's a lot of protein. Okay, you try to eat. Look, I don't eat eggs all the time, but I feel a need to eat meat anymore, even though, I always remember how good it tastes. But, I'm not getting skinnier and skinnier. I mean, you reach a plateau. I mean, I'm a pretty tough guy. I work, I get a workout, I go to the gym. I don't go to the gym, but I don't need to go to the gym. I'm a landscaper. And I've got a very tight body. And, the protein I do is things like eggs and fish. I like skinless, boneless sardines. I like peanut butter. I like a plate of rice and egg. I get these vegetable fried rice from Trader Joe's and do a half a bag of that. It's easy to get in the frozen food aisle. It's a couple of bucks. A plate of rice and scrambled eggs. I mean, that's every bachelor's dream, right? It doesn't get simpler than that. You cook it up. I mean, sure, you got a few dishes out. Big deal. Look at how little it cost and how healthy it was. But I definitely recommend that people eat, like Joel Wallach says, you eat as many eggs as you want. A man can eat a dozen eggs a day and be healthy. Okay, and the yolk is the healthiest part. I mean, if you're going to have a colored omelet, make sure it's an egg yolk omelet, egg yellow omelet, as opposed to an egg white. I mean, that's not what you want. You want that lecithin that you very valuable in your bloodstream, in your body. For cholesterol, you need healthy cholesterol. You need healthy fat. You understand? But if you're working in the diabetes industry, diabetes medication, insulin and all this kind of. There's a lot of money in that. I've heard stories of people paying $1,200 a month for their insulin. I mean, give me a break. This is absurd. But right down the line, it's just emblematic of all the problems we have that revolve the jobs revolve around the problems persisting. Okay, and the most important problem they've got to keep intact is desperate poverty, the kind that makes people very scared, very insecure, financially speaking. Okay, and it takes their freedom away, you understand? But it's good for somebody else. It's good for shareholders that the workers get paid little. It's good for the corporations, right? And what do they care if they dilute your currency, okay, through raising your cost of living and not giving commensurate cost of living adjustments to the workers? They just insulate, they just take more. Okay, well, yeah, it's diluted, but if I get enough, I still got as much, and maybe I could take extra so to make sure I'm getting ahead, right? So you understand how evil it is, how desperate poverty spurs so many jobs in our society. Do you understand the problems that would disappear overnight, that would at least plummet overnight? Do you understand? And a lot of stuff I haven't thought of. Just a few things, benefits I've thought of off the top of my head. If you ended desperate poverty, any way you can, thwart the a-holes at the top. And if that has to be a basic universal income, so be it. So nobody has to live in fear from birth on. Okay, the planet belongs to them rightfully. That's a thus saith the Lord thing. It's biblically based. It's not a political bent or socialist or communist or capitalist or anything else. Okay, this is strictly what the thus saith the Lord would do. The planet belongs to you. But do you understand that abortions would go to practically zero if the women, the ladies in our land, felt financially secure, financially well-heeled, that there's going to be very rarely you're going to see any abortions. Very, very rarely. Okay, so all you conservatives that say, oh, we just got to overturn Roe versus, that's the answer. You're idiots. You're liars. You're disingenuous. Okay, you're intellectually dishonest as far as I'm concerned. You know there's going to be back alley abortions. You know there's going to be doctors that say, hey, you know what? I mean, I'm doing this in the name of saving the woman's life. I mean, my own dad, his mother died in childbirth. Childbirthing can be a very serious business. So, as much as I'm reluctant to say I'm pro-choice, because I do think it's kind of, in all fairness, it's pro-second choice is what you're saying, that the lady's the first choice is that she laid down with the guy, because, of course, he can't force himself on her. That's against the law. He'll go to jail. That's a rapist, okay, to force himself on a woman. So he has a choice. She has a choice. They lay together. It takes two to tango. And the man gets no more choice. If she gets pregnant, she wants to have the baby, he has to pay child support. So his second choice, the only one he should have, could possibly have, would be to be financially free, to say, no, I don't want to pay for this baby. And she's not going to abort it. I'm willing to pay for the abortion or pay half of it, whatever. The stupid idiot guy that doesn't have any scruples, he's not showing any gallantry, right? He's not a noble character, unlike myself. If I'm not sleeping, the only women I'm sleeping with anymore are women that I'm married to. Okay, that's it. I've been like, that's how I've wanted to be since I was in my early 20s. I wasn't willing to sleep with my first wife until she agreed to marry me. Okay, and that's it. I would not consummate the relationship. And yeah, I've had some. I haven't been perfect, and not a perfect track record. I mean, I've gone 30 years without this woman. And she dumped me for good cause, I admit. And I learned a lot in that time, stuff I would never do again. And you give me another chance with a new beloved, it ain't going to happen, baby. Okay, but anyhow, it did happen. But the thing is that, I'm going to stand by her. And if she gets a hair up her behind and she decides to dump me for another guy and run off with him, hey, baby, that's fine. Just give me the kids. I won't even sue you for child support. I mean, this is how you can look at the proof. This is what I did with my former beloved. But I got custody. I raised my kids. I did everything I could. I had to take them to work with me as a freelance landscaper. You bet. I had to buckle them in and take them to work and look after them. And my customers understood this is the way it is. And if you want me, you want this exclusive artist working in your yard, okay, this master gardener, then you're going to have to, I come with these little girls, okay, and, not one of them let me go. I think they respected it, People I work for were pretty decent characters. I have a lot of respect for the people I work for. I think they've got good taste in landscapers. Let's put it that way. But, that's the kind of guy I choose to be. And sometimes in life, that's what you got to do. You step up to the plate, And while I was jealous, she was, picking up one guy after the other. Yeah, and I didn't like some of them, and I let the guys know that. But, some of them were all right, and I let them know that, too, that, hey, you know what, you want to be with this guy, that's all right. But I want her to be happy. I want her to have some stability, and you got to stick with a guy, baby. You can't just, you say, oh, well, you know what, this didn't work. At some point you got to say, well, maybe it's my problem, And so, not to say that I didn't bring the demise of my own marriage, but I know I'm getting a little off track on everything. But you see, to me, it all conflates. And, I'm talking about the solutions to the problems and how that's an anathema to the establishmentarians that want the problems to continue because it's job relevance. It's so stupid, but it is emblematic. It is indicative of the deterioration in our society. We've had anti-progress. We've been going down the tubes, downhill, losing freedom, losing security for the people of America, and by extension, the rest of the world. Okay, another plus. So there's the abortion plus. When you end financial fear, unnecessary financial fear, because if there's plenty of stuff, everybody can be prosperous. There's no need for anybody to go and want without. Okay, that's just a fact. Nobody can argue that fact. Nobody can debate it. Nobody can refute it. Okay? So, freeway traffic, commuter traffic, overnight. Do you understand that if you did this universal basic income and said, yeah, if you want to stay home, lick your wounds for a while from all that stress you had to go through, the hours you spent commuting and how nerve-wracking it was, how miserable it made your life to go out there and crack that nut day in and day out just to be a slave on that, like a hamster wheel, just paying it, making the money and giving it over to the landlord, giving it over to other people that had their hands out, paying your bills, right? Paying your cost of living tax, right? Yeah, go ahead, man. Take some time off. Go to the beach. Go learn how to surf. Have some fun. Enjoy your life. And then when you feel like serving again on your timetable, you don't have to answer to anyone but yourself and to God, your conscience, your integrity and honor. And you want, at some point, you're going to want to use your God-given talents. So you go out there and use them. You say, but all of a sudden, none of these jobs exist anymore because we solved the problem of desperate poverty. So all these people were laid off in the crime industrial complex, what we call the justice system, right? Judicial system. All of a sudden, there was no need. 90% of the jailers had to be laid off. There was no work for any of the attorneys whose jobs revolved around crime. Okay, hardly any crime anymore. Do you understand? Because the vast majority of crime is induced by financial desperation. So that's why these things would disappear overnight. Dubious war, you know how hard it's going to get dubious war started? A guy could do his own research, say, no, this is not a war I want to be a part of. Now, this war I can sink my teeth into. I'll pay to go kick Hitler's butt. That's what you're going to get. Smedley Butler points out you're pacifists in society. People, the P word, oh my God, you're a wussy. You're a coward. That's just a euphemism for coward, pacifist. Oh no. No, I hate violence. But you know what Smedley Butler said? You want to know who's going to kick butt? Who's going to protect you when the chips are down and you get backed into a corner? Okay? It's those guys that have resisted violence the longest, that have been the most restrained. Okay? You light their fuse, they're your fiercest fighters. Hands down, every time, all through history. They're the bad boys. Okay? Those that hate violence are going to kick butt with utter abandonment for their own safety. And a lot of times they come out unscathed because God knows their heart and he protects those kind of people. And they kick butt. Smedley Butler knew it. He spelled it out. Your fiercest fighters. Great book. Read War's a Racket. Hey, war for profit. It's sick and twisted. Another thing, another benefit, this national debt. It's going to go away. Where is this money going to come from, this universal basic income? It's going to come from resources, the earth's resources that are being traded day in and day out on Wall Street. That's where it's going to come from a Tobin tax. And it's all going to go full circle. It's just the velocity of currency that's going to be affected, the cash flow. Let it flow, baby. And the money keeps going up in worth. It's sound. You understand there's no more incentive to dilute your currency anymore. The prosperity cat is out of the bag. Everybody's rich. The system doesn't break down. Everybody's just, the difference is they go to work with a bounce in their step, with joy in their heart and a song on their